What is everything that befalled you? The fact that you just got a simple commandment from the king to, I mean, pretty much do something simple for him. That's all that befalled you. That just shows how big his ego was. Something that small is that big to you. He acted like the whole world just fell apart. Oh, this befalled me. Like, child, calm down. So then said his wife, then said his wise men and Zeresh's wife unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom you have begun to fall, you shall not prevail against him, but shall surely fall before him. This is what I'm talking about. This is why you don't ever want to listen to people who are not saved in the first place. I can't imagine how this man must have felt. And God did this purposely because God knows that that man's wife was wicked. He used her as a vessel of dishonor to plant that seed in Haman's mind to go ahead and accuse Mordecai and a request to have him hanged at the gallows. Not saying that wasn't already in Haman's heart, but God still used his wife to do that. And because he set that idolatry and that iniquity before him in his heart, God used that as his own downfall, like I said. So now he come back home crying because you don't walked out that iniquity. You went out to pursue that seed that she planted in your heart and in your mind. And you want to complain, oh, baby, look what happened to me, and baby this and baby that. And now God is using her again to prophesy your destruction. That's what I'm talking about. This chick, I would never even listen to her. I would have been like, hold on, you the one who told me to go do this in the first place, and now I come home and I'm just broken and beat up, and you gonna tell me I'm about to die? Like, what kind of wife is this? So, I mean, literally, the chick is just like, she's just dumb. Like, she's wicked. And it's funny how God keeps speaking through her. Like, God purposely probably used an evil spirit to prophesy through the woman, to speak through the woman. Hey, Haman, go do this. Of course, Haman being tempted by the iniquity that's already in his heart, he's going to do it. So God literally set Haman up for his own destruction. So now he comes back and he confirms through his wife, you're about to die. I mean, my bad. Like, I didn't know it was going to go down like that. I'm sorry I told you to do that. But you know what I mean? Like, oh, if you say it happened like that and all of that's happening, well, I mean, yeah, you probably going to die. Like, if it's Mordecai, like, oh, he's a Jew, oh, my bad, I didn't know. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you listen to fools. Like, you go to these people for advice. They don't know God. They just have nothing but iniquity and conspiracy in their hearts. And God will use those people in your life as a vessel of dishonor to go ahead and plant that seed. It's already in your heart to do it. You wrong for listening to them in the first place. Only for you to come back. Now, you getting beat up and you suffering judgment from God. You go back to them, running to them. What they supposed to do? Look at you, stupid. Oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. Oh my God. Yeah, it sounds like you're about to die. You should never listen to us. You need to find you some new friends and find you a new wife. But anyway, so while they were yet talking with him, came the king. Yeah, I already did a video on this. I just had deja vu so bad. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains and hasted to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared. So once again, this is why we have to trust God with his timing when it comes to answering prayers. So you see how all this stuff is strategically set in place. As soon as God used her to prophesy Haman's destruction, the chamberlain says, time for the banquet. The banquet that he was excited about, honey. But now he sees how all this stuff is coming about. He don't really know what to believe no more. It's time for you to die, honey. That's the Grim Reaper at that door. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther the queen. And once again, he's showing her all kinds of love, asking her what she wants, what is your request, and whatnot. And this is when Esther finally puts Haman on the spot. She says, for we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish, and to die, and be stabbed, and killed up, and burned, and destroyed. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, if you would have sold it into slavery, I would have been okay with it. But no! He trying to kill us! This fool is trying to kill us. I would have been okay with slavery, but he is trying to kill us. Although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king said, who is you talking about? And where is he at? Who presumes in his heart to do this, to do such a thing? I love how the king chose those choice of words. Who does presume in his heart to do so? Because that was God sovereignly speaking through him as well, letting Haman know and letting us know through scripture. How else would the king know to say something like that? Why would he use that choice of words to say, who presumes in his heart to do this? So that's God right there letting it know that everything that is thought in somebody's heart, everything that somebody is plotting to do, is going to be exposed and brought to the light eventually. Who presumes in his heart to do such a thing? Haman. Yes, Haman. And God is exposing it all. Everything is being laid bare on the table right here. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed, whereupon Esther was wrong moved, child. Yeah, my note says that a violation of harem protocol. It was a Persian custom to recline during a meal. Had Haman followed harem protocol, he would have left Esther's presence with the king. Although it was a common Near Eastern gesture of contrition or contrition, which one of them chopped, to seize the feet or even kiss them, such behavior was completely inappropriate with a woman of the harem, much less the queen herself. So strict was harem protocol that the king's interpretation of Haman's behavior would have probably been the same even if Haman had merely knelt before Esther with no physical contact. So basically, protocol was, look, when you at this banquet, everybody reclined, you chilling, you eating. He did the most. He probably was tugging on her dress, begging for forgiveness, begging to save his life, and it didn't look right. Because you got to take into consideration the king left, so he didn't see him doing all that. He comes back and sees him doing that against protocol that looked like you trying to come on to my wife. And you're trying to violate her at the same time. Because I'm sure it was aggressive because he was freaking out. And the king's already a nutcase. So God just used the king as a vessel of dishonor. Like, you know what? Get rid of this fool. Just kill him. Like, he just pissed me off. He's very irrational. He's known for that. So, then the king said, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And somebody pitched in, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made. Where am I at? Can't take this off. For Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, stands in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for somebody else. Let's go to my notes and what I jotted down about that. Oh yeah, in chapter 5, when it came to her presenting herself to the king, I put by grace through faith. When I was saying how she received grace and mercy from the king when she approached him and she wasn't supposed to because it went against the law. I said that was her walking out by grace through faith, salvation, which is the only reason that was successful was because she did apply faith to God and His ability to have her go through with the situation. So yeah, she received grace through her faith. If that makes sense. So that's another way that y'all can look at the whole by grace through faith thing. It's not just a salvation issue. It's actually walking out in faith and receiving grace and deliverance and salvation and, victory because of your faith through the situation. Okay. Let me see. Yes, I said this. I said Haman's own witchcraft is working against him, just as he conspired privily against the Jews, causing them to be hit unexpectedly with an attack. So is he reaping what he sown unto himself, being blinded by pride and what appears to be glory to himself, unbeknownst to him, operating behind the scenes, with God and his people for his downfall. His attack will ensnare him just like his secret plot ensnared the Jews. So, like I said, it really just really does show how when people are walking through a spirit of witchcraft, which witchcraft could just be conspiracy against somebody, you plotting for somebody else's downfall in any way, shape, or form. That is satanic and that is not of God. You can be tricked by that spirit to think that something like that is of God in the name of God, but that's not how God operates. If God wants to remove somebody, wants to judge somebody, that's his business. It ain't got nothing to do with you. Now, if you're trying to go behind the scenes and you're trying to force that or manipulate that or kind of bring that to pass and make that happen, and God's not leading you to do that, he's not the author of that happening, that is witchcraft. So witchcraft is manipulation, it's conspiracy against people. You going behind the scenes and you're plotting somebody's downfall and their misfortune. Let me see. Yeah, I pointed out how the spirit of witchcraft, which is Jezebel as well, I always say